Welcome back to the Rundown Podcast. My name is Abe Hicks, joined by my main man, Dylan Kearns. We are back better than ever. Opening day is right around the corner. It is on the Thursday, the first time we get actual, real, competitive baseball games. I'm ready. I'm excited. Dylan, how you doing, man?
I love opening day. That's a holiday that's more. I like that more than my birthday. Opening day is just awesome. You know, the fans are out. The season started. Everyone's in their own ballpark. That's the best part about baseball is seeing everyone's ballpark and the new changes, new faces, and everything that's going on, and all these new teams and a new season begins. So very excited to see how it all plays out this year. And I love baseball. And I by the way, that intro, I can't help but not boogie when I get on the set. I mean, this is just awesome. But yeah, lots to be excited for. I'm ready for a great season and I can't wait.
Yeah, so am I. I'm ready to. And I also feel like whenever opening day comes around, it's like you're stepping into spring, that next season of the year. It starts getting warmer, and we got baseball going on. It's a great feeling. The end of March Madness, it's a great time of the year, my favorite time of the year, other than October baseball. But yeah, we're ready, we're excited. Just getting into it here. We're going to start off with some news going on with especially with players that are making the opening day roster. We'll get into that. We also have a new segment for you guys called Progression or Regression over some players that may have struggled or had a really good year last year, and we'll predict on, hey, will they be better or worse than what they were last year? And finally, we will end the show with our in-season predictions for the 2024 year. So, with that being said, starting off here, players that were on the cusp of making the roster going into spring training. There's a lot of guys, young guys in particular, who showed out in spring training and they have earned themselves a roster spot on opening day. And some of these guys we've definitely talked about them before, but we got Wyatt Langford of the Texas Rangers, Evan Carter of the Texas Rangers. I mean, those are two big time prospects that are going to be inserted to the lineup with the Texas Rangers and immediately helped them day one. Jackson Chourio, Kyle Harrison, Jackson Merrill, Colton Cowser of the Baltimore Orioles. And yes, I said Colton Cowser and not Jackson Holiday. But Dylan, out of those guys, who made opening day that you're paying attention to?
I think the biggest shocker was Jackson Merrill, and we talked about him a little bit. He played in that nice Korea series that they had going on over there. That was fun. I got off work at 6 a.m., so I was able to watch the game right away. So that was pretty cool. But I love that series. But looking at opening day itself, I think the biggest surprise to me was Jackson Merrill. I think that we saw the Padres kind of not really add much in their offseason in the outfield. So seeing him make it, you could have potentially see an area for him to make it, but he found a way to break the club. I thought that was a big shocker. But I want to say one guy, I'm really sold on Jackson Trio. I think that him making the roster was a big step. And I think it kind of goes back to him getting that big contract in the offseason. Once a player gets that contract, it's like, all right, we're not worried about service time. We're not worried about when he gets called up. The Milwaukee Brewers, if you're being honest here, they need all the help they can get when looking at their roster right now. They lose a lot of pieces, especially in the rotation with no Burns, no Woodruff. And that lineup is honestly gotten worse. So they need those young guys, the Joey Weimers, the Sal Freliks, all those guys to come in and make impacts right away. Bryce Turang, another one there. But you look at Jackson Trio, a guy who had a pretty solid spring, I'd say. He comes in opening day, gets to take that center field job. And I think that's one kid that we're really high on and someone that could make an impact right away on that ball club.
Yeah, no doubt. And I've been high on him last year, or not last year, last week when we did our awards predictions. He was my NL Rookie of the Year just because, I also saw what the Brewers saw by giving him that long-term deal. Like, man, this guy can be a difference maker day one. I think the one that's surprising for me, and I think caught a lot of people by surprise, was the Baltimore Orioles and making Colton Cowser on that opening day roster instead of Jackson Holiday. And you kind of mentioned it. And and what you mentioned about with Jackson Chourio, managers or not managers, but front office is scared to not wanting to start that clock. But if you start that clock by giving a guy a long-term deal, you're obviously not worried about that. But I think the Orioles are keeping cautious about that with Jackson Holiday. And Jackson Holiday had a pretty good spring. He batted over 300. hit a few home runs. I mean, Jackson Holiday was solid. It kind of took a lot of people by surprise that he didn't make the opening day roster. But Colton Cowser, another outfielder, he's older. He's 24 years old, batted 325 with 5 home runs, and ultimately getting the nod over Jackson Holiday.
Those numbers alone pretty much say you should make a roster. So I'd say that's
Exactly.
pretty good on his point with Cowser. But yeah, I'd agree on the Holiday thing. Caught me by surprise as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now, we mentioned this last week, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but we have a new segment for you called progression or regression. Now, how this is going to go is I'm going to name off a bunch of players, whether older, younger, veterans, rookies, I guess not rookies, but guys who had maybe a bad season last year, maybe a good season last year. We're going to tell you, will they progress and get even better or regress or get even worse? And so, Dylan, you ready to go?
I can't wait. This was a segment that I brought up to you, an idea. I just love breaking down baseball players and seeing who I believe is going to be good and who isn't, because I
Yeah.
think baseball is the one sport where I feel very confident in what I say.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, so how this is going to go, we're going to break this down to two different rounds. Round one will be a lot more veterans, guys you definitely know. And round two will be not necessarily rookies, but more younger guys who haven't been around the block for a while. So, progression or regression? Javier Baez.
That's a hard start. That's a hard start. You can't sit here and say that Javier Baez is one that you can really think progression or regression, because if he regresses, he might be sitting on the couch with fat stacks next to Chris Davis, wherever they're watching baseball nowadays. But I think Javier Baez, there's no other way to say than progression. He's had a terrible spring, and I think this is a team. He thrived in an environment that brought a lot of winning when he was in Chicago in his early days. He came up in 14, kind of flailed, looked terrible at the plate, didn't really care. Made some adjustments in 15, got hurt. Then 16, he was a vital piece. He hit for average that year. 270s was his average in that area. And he played good defense on that World Series team. 2017, a great year. 18 was when he had his big, stupid numbers, MVP candidate in that year. So I think him being in a winning environment is huge. And when he signed that contract with Detroit, he kind of fell apart. And when he went to the Mets, I thought he was solid there too for a little bit. Turning out consistent play there, trying to get them to the playoffs. So I think knowing you're going to lose every day is not good for an energetic player like Javier Baez, but I think he'll step up this year, because I think there's more winning to come in that division.
I was so close to saying regression, especially after seeing his spring training numbers and watching a few videos of what he's done this so far in spring training. But like you said, I think you can't go much lower than what Javier Baez has done. So it's only up from here. So I'm going to go with progression. Progression for Javier Baez. I expect him to have a better year than what he did last year. So we both have progression for Javier Baez. All right, next one. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Progression or regression?
Progression. I'm sold on him. I think he's a player that's next level. He really had a down year last year, and he was someone who hit three in the 300 range a couple years ago and just hit bombs. And I think just his hit tool is just too strong to have another bad year. I'm sold on Guerrero.
Yeah, for me too. I'm also progression here for Vlad Jr. I think he has a level of self awareness to where he knows that his performance last year was not up to par, not up to the standards for Vlad Jr. And I think he has put in the work in. I think he has that focus, like I said, that self awareness to realize, okay, I know who I am. I know I can ball out. He's on the cover of MLB The Show this year. I think he has added a level of urgency this year to him, that he's a level of focus to where you can see him in the MVP discussion if we see the potential of Vlad Jr.
I agree. I think he's going to have a great year.
All right, progression or regression, Luis Arias.
I'm gonna go regression here. It was a very good year, very solid first half for him. He kind of cooled off with his stick in the second half of the season, which is foreseen. I mean, you can't have that high of an average and expect it to continue the whole rest of the year. I just think last year it wasn't a fluke. I think he's a phenomenal hitter, but there's no way he puts up those kind of numbers again this year.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you here. I'm going to side with regression. He had all-star level year last year. Not saying that he can't be in an all-star, but I think for his type of play, he has to hit for such high average. He's not gonna fly the ball all around the field. He's not a power hitter. Um, but I just think the level of play that he exuded last year, that that was that was a lot. That was pretty high for Luis Arias. And I just don't see him repeating that this year.
Yeah, he's a good player. I still can't
He's
believe
a
the
good
trade.
player, right? But that's what I mean.
Nowadays you don't see trades that are player for player. You see player for prospect. And
Right.
it was a straight up deal for Pablo Lopez that and then Lopez came out and had a great year last year. So I
Yeah.
mean, that was interesting the way they went about that.
And like I said, he was an all-star player last year because he hit for such high average. If he doesn't hit for a extremely high average, does he make an all-star? If he hits 270, is he making an all-star?
No,
I don't think so. I don't
no
think so.
glove, no speed.
Exactly. He just has to keep that bat alive. And now teams have a year film on him. So I think it's going to be a tougher year for Luis Arias. All right, final one for round one. Eloy Jimenez, progression or regression?
I think see, here's the thing with Eloy Jimenez. I'm wearing a White Sox hat. I'm a Cubs fan. Don't get into it. But um I look at Eloy Jimenez from the perspective of if he just stays healthy, and we say that about a lot of guys, if he stays healthy, he is one of the best hitters in baseball. And I'm sold on it. Coming up as a prospect, he was launching balls out of ballparks. He's already had a 30 homer season in the MLB, and people kind of forget about him because he's on a terrible ball club. And he's someone that isn't on the field every day. So when they do get the opportunity to watch a White Sox game, God willing, then they're sitting there and they're seeing that he's not on the field and they don't even know who he is. So Eloy Jimenez is a good post-hype sleeper here. Maybe someone who's been hyped up in the past, but I think he's poised for a great year as long as he stays healthy. He could hit 40 to 50 bombs. I think he could get up to that level because he's just such a good hitter.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think Eloy Jimenez, I'm gonna go with progression. As long as he stays healthy. That's the common denominator here with him and Luis Robert or Robert. But especially with Eloy, just gotta keep him on the field. Gotta keep him on the field. He's one of the best power hitters in the AL. Like you said, 40 bombs. He's capable of doing that with ease. We've already seen him with the 30 home run season. Just gotta keep him healthy on the field. Progression for Eloy Jimenez this year. All right, final one for round one. Kodai Senga of the Mets, progression or regression?
Kind of hard to say because he's injured right now. But I would say I think he has to regress a little bit. I mean, he what his ERA was just above 3 last year, which I think was a very solid year coming over from Japan. And he's someone that really got good as the year went on. So I think he was a solid pitcher for the team, but he's hurt to start the year. I don't know how I feel. I don't think he's going to progress this year. I think he's still going to be a good pitcher long term, but I don't know about this season. I think he takes a step back.
I'm going to go with progression. Who
Really?
else? What other names are in that Mets rotation that you trust?
Nobody.
Exactly. Kodai Singh is going to be carrying that rotation. When he gets healthy, he's the man. And he had a solid year last year. And I expect him because there's no other I mean, there's no other guys that are carrying that rotation that has the ability of Kodai Senga. And so that's why I'm going to go with progression there. All
You
right.
want to laugh?
What?
Jose Quintana's getting the ball on opening day.
That's what I
They're
mean.
giving
That's
the
what I'm
ball to
saying.
Jose freaking Quintana.
That's what I'm saying. Wow, once a prime time trading deadline piece, right? Remember that?
Yeah, but Eloy Jimenez comes
Yeah,
full circle.
exactly. Yeah. Wow,
Eloy
what a
Jimenez
small
and
world.
Dylan Cease for Jose Quintana.
Yeah.
Good job, Cubs.
All right, moving on to round two. Not like I mentioned, round two would be more of the younger ball players. And let's get right into it. Progression or regression, Tristan Cassis.
I like Tristan Cassis. I do. I think last year he was a player that before the All Star break, you're like, man, is he going to take that step for that Red Sox team? But then he kind of just sat back. He realized, okay, we're probably not going to make the playoffs. We're not going anywhere here. And he was like, all right, I'm going to fix my swing. I'm going to get into my groove and figure out how to be a good baseball player. And his power numbers increased. His average was a lot better. He got on base more in the second half of the year. I think Tristan Casas this year, I think he makes an all-star game. That's how much I think he progresses. I think he's an all-star. I think he could be one of the best first basemen in the American League as terms of young players. I think he could really take that step this year, and I'm sold on Tristan Casas.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with progression with Tristan Casas too. This is wild to say for a player playing in Boston, but there's no pressure there. Meaning there's no pressure because they're not very good and nobody has high expectations on that team. And so I think with Tristan, he can ball out and play freely, play with no sort of stress, no sort of pressure being in Boston, which is rare. But I think that will ultimately help him once Boston gets really good for him to perform at a high level. So right now, I think he's going to be really, really good in that weak, very weak Boston Red Sox team. So, all right, moving on to the next one. Nolan Jones, progression or regression?
This is the hardest one.
This
I
is
know what
tough.
I said earlier about Javier Baez, but this one's hard. I think he's got to regress. I think he's got to regress here. The Colorado Rockies. I mean, he put up stupid numbers last year. He's
Yeah,
starting the year injured,
that's
so
right.
we'll
He got
see.
hurt yesterday.
He did get hurt, so I mean, it's going to be a little bit till he's ready to play. But I think they said April he'll be back, so it's not like it's a serious injury. But I think there's just that ball club's so weak. They're just
Yeah,
a dead club, and I feel very bad for his situation. But then again, I mean, he was someone that was getting no playing time in Cleveland. They decided to part ways with him for no reason, and uh, and now he's in Colorado with a chance to shine. So I think he had a great year last year. I don't know. I don't. I think he was a top prospect coming in, so I think
yeah.
the potential's still there. But I think I'm going to see regression from Nolan Jones this year.
I think I'm gonna have to go with regression too. He batted 297, 20 bombs, and with a lot of games at in Colorado, his home stadium. So that's a really solid rookie year, 297. That's hard to duplicate. And if you are able to duplicate that, you're looking at a possible all-star appearance and people recognizing you as, wow, you could be the next great hope for the Colorado Rockies. I just don't see him playing up to that level like he did last year. Ezekiel Tovar, another Rocky, progression or regression?
He just got a contract. New little news nugget there. He got a contract, so they gave him some money, 8-year deal. He was good in May. He was good in September.
Hmm.
But he was bad the rest of the months. I mean, he's a young ball player, so maybe you give him a little bit of grace. But I don't think he's a good baseball player. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think he is. I think his ceiling's Jose Iglesias.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. Wow. Wow.
I think he regresses.
15 bombs in 581 at bats in Colorado. I don't see him much as a power hitter. So, what are you looking at? A defensive wizard, basically, with Ezekiel
But
Tovar?
he's got decent speed. Good speed, but not a lot of stolen bases to match that.
Yeah. But I
His
mean,
glove's solid, but
batted 253. I don't
maybe
know.
all right, I'll give you a better one. Alexei Ramirez, that's who he is.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is that worth investing so early though?
No.
Given a fat term deal? Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm going to have to agree with you. Regression. Jared Kelnick, progression or regression?
Okay. Jared Kelnick, let me tell you something about him. I'm actually turned off, completely turned off by Jared Kelnick at this point. I thought going to the Braves, maybe you could find yourself a nice situation, don't little pressure off you. But he has been absolutely abysmal in spring training. He looks lost at the plate. He's slamming his bat. And that tells me one thing about him. Now, this was a year where I saw Jared Kelnick last year. He kind of finally had some success at the big league level. His average was low for the last year that he was in the league. But then you see last year he's up to 250. Then he gets hurt by doing something stupid, some crazy, gets mad, breaks his hand, he misses the year. So he's out for the rest of the year. The Mariners are like, all right, you know what? We'll get rid of him. They decide to get rid of him. Now the Braves bring him in. He looks lost at the plate, still has issues, slamming the bat down. Just he's lost. He's someone that's a top prospect. You see it all the time with guys that don't know how to handle pressure when they get to the situation. And I may be dead wrong on this take. I think Jared Kelnick also regresses. I don't think he has a starting job after this year. I think he's absolutely cooked. And the Braves see it too, which is why they brought in Adam Duvall. They see that maybe they whiffed on this. And I know it's spring training and you can't read into these numbers, but he looks absolutely lost. I think he's going to be a lost cause for that ball club.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you here. I'm also gonna
Really?
say regression because going to the Braves, you would think it would be a bright spot for Jared Kelnick, a good spot for him to go to, especially knowing the Braves. They have a winning culture. It's a winning organization. They have great leadership. The Braves is a perfect place, and I think there's a reason why so many teams have said, "No, no, no, we're done. We're done. That's enough of Jared Kelnick." Time and time again, emotionally, he's not there. He's just not there, right? Slamming, breaking his hand last year, getting mad in spring training after a strikeout. Front office's seat, maybe this isn't our everyday outfielder.
It's a good take. It's a good. I mean, I'm the same boat. I don't know. I thought it was a little bold with what I went with there because a lot of people still believe in the hype, but I don't
Yeah.
really know.
How many years has there been hype? Like 3 years now.
The Mets won it. I mean, he was in the
You
Lexus.
gotta
Maybe
show us
Edwin Diaz
something within
trophy.
that time, right? I mean, it's just I don't know. I think his time has passed, unfortunately. Hopefully, he can prove us wrong, but yeah. Final one here, then we'll get into our end season predictions. Brian Hayes, progression or regression?
I'm sold on Key Brian Hayes. This is a guy who didn't hit a lot of home runs. Matter of fact, he only has 33 in his career in a 1,400 at bats. So that's not a lot of home runs. I think he's an NL All Star this year by one simple fix. You look at his numbers post All Star break, 299 with 10 bombs.
Hmm.
10 bombs. He hadn't hit 10 bombs in a year, and he does it post All-Star break last year. So I think he's turned on the power levels. He's got 3 bombs, 388 in spring this year. He's finally found that stroke. Gold Glover on defense. He's an all-star. I think he hits two. I'm going to go out here and throw numbers at you. 288, 25 bombs for Key
Wow.
Brian Hayes next year.
Wow. I'm right there with you. To see the adjustment he made after the All-Star break, hitting 10 bombs after the All-Star break, I'm sold on Brian Hayes. Brian Hayes, obviously defensive wizard, great gold glove potential at third base. He's amazing. And I really like him. I'm gonna one up you here. He had 15 home runs last year, 10 in the second half. I'm gonna double what he did last year. 30 home runs.
Wow.
30 home runs.
That's more than he has in his career almost.
I know. And I think Brian Hayes is that focused, he's that dialed in. He's gonna have an all-star level season.
Health has been a factor for him too.
Yes, if he can stay healthy, that's the key point. If he can stay healthy, he's gonna have an all-star level season. Expect 30 bombs there in Pittsburgh. All right. Final segment of the show here. We're just going to get right into it. Our predictions for the 2024 season. And at the end, we're going to give our World Series matchup predictions and the winner. All right. So, Dylan, starting off with you. We're going to start off in the AL East. Who's your AL East winner?
My AL East winner, I have the New York Yankees, followed by the Toronto Blue Jays, Baltimore Orioles, Tampa Bay Rays, and Boston Red Sox. I think the Yankees win that division. I think they finally got balance in their lineup. Maybe Cole gets healthy, but I think that's definitely a thing. I think the Yankees win that division.
All right. I have the Baltimore Orioles. As a Yankees fan, everybody knows I love the Yankees. I'm just not sold on management. I'm not sold on if they can stay healthy. Every year, the Yankees they find a way to make that bullpen top 5 in baseball. Obviously, having Cole healthy is huge. Having Carlos Rodon healthy is huge. But I'm a huge believer in the Baltimore Orioles. They won over 100 games last year. They pretty much brought everybody back, and they added a Cy Young level pitcher in Corbin Burns with the addition of possibly Jackson Holiday later in the season. I am sold on the Baltimore Orioles. Adley Rushman is legit one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher in baseball. I like the Orioles in the AL East.
All right, not bad.
AL Central, who you got?
Minnesota Twins, followed by the Tigers, Guardians, Royals, White Sox.
I
Big
got
on
the
the Tigers.
I got the Twins as well. I think Carlos Correa is going to have a big bounce back year, and then with the late year resurgence of Royce Lewis, who I think is one of the most underrated players in baseball, especially as a former number 1 pick. Dylan, I don't understand. I love Royce Lewis. Royce Lewis is going to have a huge year, and with the better play from Carlos Correa, I think the Twins may run away with that division.
I like it. I like it. I'm going to go the AL West here. I'm going to take the Houston Astros. I think they win that
Oof.
division. Remember about
Again,
my
again.
Cy Young piece. I think the Mariners finish second. Rangers fall to third. Their rotation
Wow.
right now. Angels, Athletics.
You're not a fan of the Rangers.
I don't. I'm not a
Why?
big fan. I understand the Evan Carter. I understand Wyatt Langford. You look at their rotation right now; it
Yeah.
is pretty bad. Evaldi is atop it. Other than that, you got Dane Dunning. I mean, you don't have Scherzer. You don't have DeGrom. You don't have Montgomery from last year. That rotation is brutal right now. So I don't believe in it. They lose a lot of their bullpen with Aroldis Chapman and Will Smith. I'm not sold on the range. There are better teams in that division. Seattle got better.
Man.
Houston, I think, is always going to be there. So I think the Rangers slide to 3. They are a playoff team. They're a 6 seed.
Yeah. You're making me you got me thinking about this. As of now, I got the Rangers as my AL West champion, but hearing your reason, you might have switched my opinion here. As of now, I got the Texas Rangers. I'm very high on their lineup. I think their lineup can make up for the lack of pitching, especially adding Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. I mean that I believe they're going to be one of the best hitting teams in all of baseball. Give me the Rangers. That probably will change. I pitching wise, I think they can add at the deadline. Would it be, I don't know. You got me really thinking on that. You got me. You might have
It's a competitive
switched my
division.
tone. It
Seattle's
is
not
really
going anywhere.
competitive, right?
Yeah.
Seattle's been knocking at the door for a while now. Houston, Houston's always going to be in it. I just think Texas Rangers, they're coming off a World Series title. I just think their lineup's going to be amazing again. But neither here or there. Let's move on to the NL now. Who you got NL East champions?
My NL East champion is the Atlanta Braves, like they have been every single year. I think they're just too good. They are a very, very not only are they good, they have a solid rotation, so good they sent Bryce Elder to the minors. They also
Yeah.
have AJ Smith-Shawver. They're deep. When you look at teams that can win, you look at a team that has depth in every position. And I know I just took a shit on Kelenic, but I don't like it. I think that right now you really look at that ball club and you see that they're very, very talented, and there's no one competing with them.
Yeah, so I got the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm very high on the Philadelphia Phillies. In my predictions, I have literally the Phillies personnel taking all the awards. Rob Thompson, Manager of the Year, Zach Wheeler, Cy Young, and Bryce Harper, MVP. I'm really sold on the Phillies. I think they're on a mission this year. They know what it takes to get to the postseason and win in the postseason. Obviously, it's a lot different than the regular season, but I expect the Philadelphia Phillies to play really good ball this year
I want to
and
hit
win
quick.
NL
I want
East.
to I want to hit quick here, real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Phillies to me, I think being there 2 years in a row, they're still an olderish ball club. I think that
Yeah.
comes like being there and not getting over the hurdle. Sometimes that long season can take a toll going into spring, 2 years in a row, the World Series, and then last game before a World Series. I think that'll catch up to them. But one note, I got the Nationals finishing 4th with the Marlins 5th. I think their young kids come up late in the year and make an impact. You'll
Solid.
see Dylan Cruz and you'll see Wood, and they'll play well.
Solid point. NL Central, I got the Chicago Cubs. I think the addition of Craig Counsell makes a huge difference. Coming back, Cody Bellinger. I think Nico Horner's going to have a great year. Dansby Swanson is going to have a great year. The NL Central is a bit of a toss-up, but I don't think the Brewers have what it takes to repeat. They're very high on the Chicago Cubs.
Cardinals are a weird team. Don't know how to pick them. Reds, I think, are good, but not good enough. Cubs are the top for me. Great manager, postseason experience. Bellinger, Swanson, winners in that ball club. Pirates win 80 games for me. Brewers finish in 5th.
NL West, who you got?
Dodgers winning it all. I think or not winning it all, but winning the division. Giants, Padres, D-backs, Rockies. D-backs slide to 4 for me.
Okay.
I think the Padres at 3. Giants, too good. That lineup's good. The rotation's better.
Yeah. Same here. High on the Dodgers. They have the best roster on paper in all of baseball. If they can stay healthy, if they can keep Ohtani from betting, they will be, if they figure that all out, and that's investigation situation, without a doubt. Even without Ohtani, they're probably the best team in the division. But with Ohtani, without a doubt. All right, who is your AL pennant winner? And who will they be facing against in the
I got
World
the
Series?
Yankees playing the Astros in the ALCS. I got the Yankees in the World Series against the Atlanta Braves, who beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. Braves win the World Series in 6 games over the New York Yankees.
All right. So I have the Orioles raising the pennant in the AL, going up against beating the Astros in the ALCS. I have the Atlanta Braves beating the Dodgers in the NLCS. So you're probably thinking, wait. I thought you just said the Phillies are going to have a great year in the NL East. With the Atlanta Braves, I think there's been so much pressure with the regular season translating to the postseason. My prediction is that the Phillies will be winning a lot in the NL East. That there's not going to be the Braves are going to have to take a little bit of a back seat and not as much pressure. They can just focus on winning in the postseason. That's been their Achilles heel the past few years. The Braves win the NLCS. They win the pennant. I got the Braves facing the Baltimore Orioles. The Braves beat the Orioles in 7 games. Atlanta Braves, my World Series champion.
Woo! Spicy.
So we both got the Braves, huh?
Yeah, we both do. That's
All right.
weird.
All
That's
right.
weird, but that's okay. We both see it from a holistic point.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, cue that music. Listen up, everybody. We appreciate everybody following you, watching the channel, the support. Follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram. Let us know your predictions. Who's winning the World Series this year? Let us know. Drop that down in the comments. We appreciate all the support. Follow us on our socials. We're going to be back. We're going to be ready for you here at the Rundown Media. The season's right around the corner. We're going to be posting content weekly for you guys. Appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.